up my live for in a couple minutes from now, but hey, it's good to come on live, be here early for once, and I'm very, very, very excited with where XRP's at right now. About to close over $2 for the first time in 2026, but for the first time in about 5 weeks. This is a great movement we've had today. So far, I would say since we employed the triple X HA strategy, it was perfectly timed. Talked about it for the first time on right before that dump we had. And it was only like a 3 to 5 to 6% dump, but we talked about it as that was about to happen. And I talked about my strategy, XRP, XLM, XDC, HBAR, and Algo, the triple X HA strategy. I'm sticking to it. I'm not going outside of myself. A lot of other tokens that I really, really do appreciate. A lot of tokens I really do love. But this, going back to 21, was the 5 tokens I laid out for everybody. And going forward, I want to have that profound focus on them. And, you know, there's a couple that ended up making their way in that are just going to sit there for all eternity. And we'll see what happens, like XRB Healthcare and Epic over on Crypto.com with the other tokens. But the focus for me is what's on the hat. So I welcome everybody for tuning in. I cannot tell you how excited, how thankful, and how blessed I am to have an audience of this size as we go through this part of the cycle. The first time we went through something like this, and we're not to the overall expansion out, but where we find ourselves right now is where we could have ourselves about a 3 to 5 week window starting in the last couple of days now, where we could have a nice bullish push for a wave 4. And that would mean to start the year, we'll fatten up our wallets a little bit. It also means that if we understand the construct of what the Elliott wave theory is, and if we prescribe by that theory that we're trying to go into a 4th wave out for expansion, for a 5th wave to contract back down, that's my own terminology. But this is exactly what we would want to see. Now, would the 5th wave bring us farther than $1.77? Yes. But if we do this properly, you know, maybe we could invalidate having to come back down, or we keep ourselves at like that $1.57 level roughly, or we come back down and we can hold near the closer to $1. But anyhow, the point is this is absolutely imperative for us to have a extremely bullish push as we get towards the middle of the year. And some people are, in the middle of the year. Well, if we play this properly, and I'm not saying you have to do this with XRP or anything you own, because I don't think this year should be technically a trading year. Now, if there's opportunity because of where we're at in the part of the pattern, that's fine. But I'm not saying let's go buy, sell, buy, sell. It has to have a reason. And this reason would be if we do the 5 waves up, or the 5 waves, technically this would still be down right now. But after, if we do this properly, because the 4th wave is up, but then the 5th would be down. But after, when we start a fresh 5 waves up, like the real coup de grace, so to say, then you would be able to now take your profits from 2026 if we do it properly, if it allows us to. We don't know if it's going to play out like that. This is just a theory after all. A theory. We would then be able to take all of our gains and be able to get out before the 5th wave down when we get the validation, and then we could buy at the bottom knowing we're about to have a 5 wave up movement. And that would be, if we do it like this, it would be maximum capacity, maximum capitalization of what the market's giving us. Now, is it going to happen like this? I don't know, because $2, remember, that's the big area for me. For anybody who's been following, this is a big area for me. We've been talking about it for the better part of, it feels like, forever. We knew that this was going to hit regardless of if we were bullish or bearish in the short term. Now we need to see if we can play past this area, and what ends up happening is, you guys all know, I believe we're on a bullish megaphone for XRP. And until this support gave way, which it did not here, or here, I believe we're still bullish. And right now it's playing out exactly like I would want it to. In fact, let's just say we had to go up and then we come back down. By what we're doing now, we could have made it to where this bottom end here, instead of having to come below this, if we can validate this movement up, and this is what's so important. I know we're getting in here hot and heavy. I haven't loaded up the comments. It's not that I don't respect all of you. It's just I respect the fact that I need to give you a detailed understanding when you come in here so that you'll be able to not only contribute within the comment section, but within your own personal portfolio. You're going to know exactly what's going on. And as 2026 continues to go, I aim to make this the single best experience you can possibly have, not just by feeling welcomed, not just by not feeling like, you're being yelled at and things like that. I mean by allowing everybody to have the information like we need and knowing it in real time before it happens. So right now, as we're looking through this, because of what we're doing, if we can validate this movement and then work our way up, even in a worst case scenario, let's say we have a worst case scenario, that means we could have now allowed our floor to be at all-time floor at $1.58-ish, $1.58-esque. That is such a massive win, rather than if it just comes down here, invalidates this, and then we have to come down and then bounce back up. This would be such a big win if we could do this, because nobody wants to end up back there. I don't think anybody else does either. I mean, some people say they want to go down there so they can buy, but that's because those people have missed out before. We didn't miss out, so we don't necessarily want to see it have to rotate all the way back through. I love exactly what it's done this entire cycle. The fact that it's been identifiable within what I think is a bullish megaphone here, which I could argue that there's a dragon tail in there and that this is a dragon pattern as well within. And we've argued it before, and it plays into our case. And we might look at that again today. We may. But it's all about, now, can we get this closed? We got 1 minute. We're going to close over $2. Look at that. I did this on purpose at this time tonight, but we're going to close over $2 here. And it's going to be the first time since, let me tune it down. So we're going to close over $2 here. And it's going to be for the first time in the better part of about a month. And the last few times we did it, it was just a fake out, back up, and gone. But now we've built in this entire pattern that we've been waiting for. It's spectacular what's building. It's been a great start to 26. In fact, one could argue that maybe we're breaking out of a descending wedge here. I can give you a nice bullet point here with XLM. Phenomenal where it's at right now. If you get it on the breakout, it's well behind XRP. In fact, we're trying to break out of what I think is a descending wedge here, possibly. I guess you could call it that, but we're in a wider channel. It looks like our flag pattern, but it's a wider down channel, which is often a bullish consolidation or a reversal in the making. So it looks like this liquidity zone, we talked about it when it was farther down. Now it just happened to bounce back zone. Beautiful liquidity box, because if you get in before this box, you're pretty much guaranteed a ride up to the top of the box. Worst case scenario. Which means if you get inside of this wedge, which it should break up, these are bullish consolidations. I mean, I guess you can't say 100% of the time, but let's say 92% of the time these will break bullish. With that, and it doesn't mean it has to go all the way bullish. It just means out of this consolidation, you get the measured move, which would get us somewhere around 25.6. I mean, I can do it so you can understand what a measured move is. So you can do it from up here down to here, but I don't think that's appropriate. I think it'd be more appropriate to the widest like this. Otherwise, you get yourself in trouble. So, I mean, it makes perfect, it makes perfect sense. Let's say it breaks out right here. It gets you right to that resistance. There's no doubt about it. And it's behind XRP. I think this is a good play right now. I'm not a financial advisor, so I can't tell you what to do. But me personally, if I was looking at this and I was like, okay, I don't have any skin in the game. I love XRP. I love XLM. I love XDC. Well, granted, I would want them all. Which I do have them all. So I don't have to worry about that. But for you, you would want to look at it like this. XLM versus XRP is massively massively undervalued. When I say, did I say massively undervalued versus XRP? Oh, I did. And I personally believe where it's at right now. And this is the XRP XLM pairing. Look at it in the weekly. Lord have mercy. Oh man. I mean, this is what dreams are made of. The monthly, same thing. Dreams are made of these areas. You don't make it big by buying when everything's overbought. You make it big because you had the cojones like we have to wait for the drop, to be pessimistic when we need to, but optimistic when we have to be. And remember what we said just the night before we were able to buy. What was the number one message that we talked about? First, you need to have the 4 facets to succeed. Faith, compassion, integrity, love. Get that down and you'll do very well in this community, period. But anyhow, I said, this is right before the dropout, being careful, nothing's changed, you just got to be cautious. But I said, nothing's changed in the last few days, just volatility, but often opportunity comes out of danger. The key is to assess the proper danger to ride. And it was right at that point when we were about to have that drop when I advised everybody to be cautious. And it did. It dropped like 6 to 10% across the board after that. And I came out and I said, now we can do the triple X house strategy. And I even put it on a hat. Julie got me this hat for Christmas. And I said, I don't need to explain myself. And I did something different a couple days ago when I had bought back. And I came on, put the hat on and said, I don't want to encourage anybody. You just have to read the hat so you know what I've done. And I'm not going to go outside myself this entire year. I'm going to stay within myself, and you're going to see a defined strategy, something we talked about. If you go back into my videos in 22, we talked about XRP, XLM, XDC, HBAR, Algo. Yes, we had DGB on the back burner. It was one of them. It was one of them that I personally loved. I love IOTA, but it's not available on my exchange. Not doing the non-KYC exchanges. Doing the tier 1 because you have to know the rules with the new tax laws. I don't even know if I'm talking to anybody. Like, I literally have nothing in front of me to tell me, and I don't want to see. Not yet. So if you are watching, make sure to hit that like button. I'll give you a chance as I do the intro and take a drink of the water. Did you hit that like button yet? I believe you should. I could give you a million reasons why, but then it's going to waste our time. Good evening. 7:04 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on this Friday, January 2nd. 2026. I'm XRP Future Millionaire. And I reside in the great state of Michigan. If you wanted to do the 3 X's, you could legitimately say and change out DGB and go back to what I used to say. And if you go back, I didn't initially say XRP Future Millionaire with the side bet on XLM and future Digibite. OG, I used to say it different. If you guys went back to the very beginning, I had XDC in there, and then most people were like, what the hell is XDC? Hell, I had a hard time convincing people about XLM, let alone XDC back in the day. But fortunately for all of you and myself, they haven't done nothing. They're just waiting. So back to the XLM point. XLM is literally on the verge versus XRP. Does that mean you get rid of XRP and just buy XLM? Absolutely, positively not. Does that mean you skip outside of XDC to just have XLM? Absolutely not. If you had $5,000 to play with right now, I would put the least exposure on XRP. I'm sorry, it's just the way it goes from here. At $2, where XLM is in the weekly time frame in the XLM XRP pairing, just look at it this way. In this scenario, XLM is like silver at $21.97 an ounce. XRP is like gold at $2,000 an ounce. That would mean that gold-silver ratio is somewhere around 97-1 right now. So, the optic is you approach this like silver and you take it like that. Because we know the average disparity is usually about a 4-1. Which means that this ratio should be 40-1, not 96 or 97-1. So now when we approach it like that, I think it makes it a little easier. So what you're going to want to do is if you have $5,000. Again, I'm not a financial advisor, so what the hell do I know? If it was me, only because of where the XLM is versus XRP in the pairing, I'm going, and let's go to the weekly so you can understand. Look at that. Would you just look at that opportunity? I just want to, in through the nose, out through the mouth. In through the nose. Out through the mouth. In through the nose. Out through the mouth. But would you look at that opportunity? This is historic. Historic. So what I would do is, me personally, I would put next thing, seeing everything looks so nice. Lord, thank you for this blessing we're gonna receive. Amen. I would probably do, if I had $5,000, probably 2,000 XLM, 2,000 XDC, and 1,000 on XRP, just because of where they're at. But make no mistake about it, we have more than that. I bought XRP at 34 cents. XLM and XDC, I have way more token-wise than XRP, but not dollar-wise. I don't really want to speak too much about how my portfolio looks, but you can imagine the 10,000 XRP, the 20 times XDC, and 5 times that of XLM. Or, yeah, 6 times with XLM. So you can figure how much of each of those I have. So that would mean one has 200,000 tokens, one has 60,000, and one has 10,000. And I think you can do the math. But I'm a big fan of this 3x proposition. And yes, I like to have exposure to algo, and I like to have exposure to H-bar. And that's just something I like. I believe algo is going to be big on the other parts of the world. But I am not as heavy as I was before on algo because of the strategy. So, there's plenty of room for algo. There's plenty of room for H-bar in this portfolio, and they're in it. But that's my focus. And the reasoning I've given you is why I'm so excited about it. Yes, there's 1,700,000 other tokens that I could buy. There's a bunch of them that are on my radar. I love other tokens, but I understand that if I can follow one simple philosophy and not go outside of myself and stay true to some vision I had years ago with XRP, XLM, XDC, H-bar, and algo. Because DGB I love, but it wasn't that same vision. It was just something that I loved to hold. The actual vision that I talked about for years was these 5 tokens. And it feels right. It feels like we're getting into that area where we've got to stay outside of what most people think is a bearish cycle at the moment. Yes, and understand if we break out, we've also got to make sure that we continue out. And it's a very tricky proposition. XLM right now, I think it's at such a perfect spot. I mean, when you look at it versus XRP, XRP's broken well over the 200-day. XDC's broken well over the 200-day. Well, we got to go to XDC, not XDZ versus XRP. But it's broke well over the 200, and now it's trying to break out of this next layer, which would be phenomenal. Phenomenal if this happens. XLM hasn't quite got there yet. It's behind, in my opinion, but it's coming outside of a falling wedge. It's breaking over as we speak. And remember, the last falling wedge we've seen break out of, H-bar, and look how volatile it went right to the 200. And it looks like it's just going to keep going. It don't look like it really wants to slow down that much. So, some people are like, well, Tom, why aren't you buying some other things? I know you like other tokens. You can't possibly. I do like other tokens. But these are my tokens. These are my babies. These are my friends. And I love VeChain. And it can sit on Crypto.com with CRO and Epic until the end of time, but I'm never going to really talk about it. I want to have my own defined focus. I love other things. I do. But I love these. You know, this is what gets me going. Like when I'm doing this and what do I have to do to continue wanting to be a trader in crypto? This is what I want to do. This is what I want to do. Yes, the bigger focus is on XLP, XLM, and XDC. But there's still focus on HBAR and Algo. It just might not be to the same extreme as the other three. Doesn't mean I don't love them. Oh, but I so much understand that we have been given a gift together. I couldn't have done this by myself. I'm just being honest with everybody. Some people think I'm joking when I say I'm not joking. I could not have done this by myself. It's simple. I couldn't have done this by myself. I needed each and every one of you to do this. Otherwise, I could have never stayed within myself. I could have never figured out all these tokenomics. I would have never known how great these ecosystems were in some cases. Somebody brought HBAR to me years ago back in 21 and was like, you really need to look at this token. You just look at it. And when I did, I said, oh my God, this is like privacy, like the real deal privacy token. And it opened my eyes. And I'm like sitting there going, hey, there's a lot of things that can be good and a lot of things that can be bad. But like if we understand like each one of these, it's going to be very hard to stop us. It's going to be very hard to stop us. And my goal in 2026 is to make sure we're all equal footing. Now, we might not have the same amount of tokens. There's people that have 10 times, 100 times more than I have. And then the past cycles, I didn't have this kind of token play. I didn't have this kind of power, this kind of leverage to be able to use. But each cycle has allowed me to grow into not only a better trader, but have better understanding of what I want. And yes, I still believe if you have 10,000 tokens of each token, like 10,000 HBAR and 10,000 Algo, you're fine. Just like I believed it with XRP. I believe if you can get 10,000 tokens of these when they're cheap enough, and then you take advantage because XDC is so cheap, you know, maybe you take advantage and instead of buying, you know, a smaller amount, you might buy a little bit more, depending on your strategy. You know, but everybody's going to have their own line of thinking. It's just, that's the way it goes. Everybody should have their own fundamental thinking. I am not a financial advisor, and even if you respect the hell out of what I do, you still have to put your own feelings first. And you have to not go outside yourself just because you're like, oh, Tom likes that one more than I do, so I'm going to do that one. Or XRP Future Millionaire, you know, he says this. But don't take the worst thing a trader, an investor can do, and this is why I hate financial advisors. I am not one. I am not a financial advisor. I'm just in real time showing you my thoughts and what I believe is happening. But I believe I'm starting to tap into my inner good. I'm tapping into my better self. I'm tapping into somebody who gave up gambling so that I could focus more on this kind of stuff. And I wasn't a hardcore gambler, but I'm talking about sports betting, and I talked about it a few weeks ago. And that's a foregone thing in 2026 that I do never want to touch again. Now, I do have some futures bet from before the Michigan basketball season because I bet them to win the title when they were like plus 2,000 odds, and now they're plus like 500. So they're willing to pay me like 6 times or 4 or 5 times what I bet. But I think they're going to win the title. But I'm not betting anymore. That's a part of my life I'm closing. Because what it does is it enables the gambling part of your brain. And then when you even look at crypto or you look at your trading, your investments, it's not good enough. It's not fast enough. It's not wise enough. You're not doing it in the proper order. There's so many different things that can throw your line of thinking off because you unlock the gambling side of your brain. Same reason I won't ever futures trade again, period. I don't care. It activates the gambling part of your brain, and then your spot trade's never good enough. You can never make it fast enough. So, not just for you all, but for myself, I closed that part of my life for good. So, and I'm more focused on a better me, a better all of us, and that starts with me building my own foundation up from the ground, which first starts with my health, which is why if you look at me compared to yesteryear, when I first started, I'm in much better shape. You know, I'm much calmer. Things are just much better because it's a simplified approach. So that was something that I had to clean up. Can there be money made gambling? Sure. But there's more money to be lost. And when you win, you can never win enough, right? So you're always trying to do better. So, you know, I've heard it all. I've heard it all. But I'm done. I'm done with that part. And it's something that it took me a while to realize that it needed to happen. But when I realized the reasoning, I definitely realized the reasoning exactly why it needed to happen. So, with that being said, let me turn on some of the comments. I have no idea how many people are watching me right now, so it could, I don't know. Holy moly, 123. So it's more like I give more time to the Lord, as you guys know. I'm more into, you know, that side of things, which I've always been, but more so now. And then I'm more into giving. I've always been a giver, but even more. I'm trying to figure out a way to make this more unified. So, not just figure it out. Oh, I love XRP Healthcare. That's another one that just sits in my XRP Healthcare wallet, as you guys know. And it just will. But I love this token. Oh, I love this token. Eventually, this is going to pay huge dividends. We'll talk about this one, too. But when like with XRP, I believe that this one fits the bill. I could have put XRP Healthcare, but this isn't a unified plan. That's one on the back burner we've talked about that. Yeah, it is what it is. It is what it is. With mining stocks, we're going to find out a lot next week. I wouldn't do anything. I would just ride them right now. Don't do anything right now. If it wants to break down on us, let it prove it to us. We bought these at such good pricing. You let it prove it to you. So what? We were down a few percent today. Who cares? I don't care. Let it break this entire fundamentals down, and then you can decide. But don't just run away because you're a little afraid. Yeah, so we might be down on Monday. We might be up on Monday. We have to see how the futures goes. But don't let these greedy ruin your flow. If you have precious metals, you never sell the metal itself. That's your store of value. Sorry. How much H-bar? 10,000 tokens. If you can afford 10,000 tokens in your portfolio, it's good enough. It's good enough. It's good enough. Because what you're looking for is you're not trying to get so many tokens that you can't afford what you want. Like me, I had a different kind of focus. I wanted to put my, let's just say you shoot your wad, so to say. I like to go heavy on XRP. It wasn't heavy at the time, but it was about $3,400. Plus, you know, I added more in 2024. We had that big drop when it went to 38 cents. And I bought more there, 38.5 when I bought the $5,000 worth. That's what built this entire portfolio for me to be able to stack the way I am right now in XDC and XLM, believe it or not. That $5,000 purchase changed it all. Because I don't have to touch the 10,000 that I have, ever. But that other side of it that I was able to sell at 330, 350, it allows me now to go very heavy in XLM, very heavy in XDC, have exposure to H-bar, and have exposure to algo at the same time. For me, in this philosophy, I think it's, and this is another one I might get killed on, but I had a choice. Do you buy, in this scenario, 20,000 algo? Or do you buy 10,000 algo and 20,000 H-bar, just the way this is breaking out and the way that this is setting up? I also had a decision to make with XLM versus algo. But in the time we're in, I like XLM a little bit more in this immediate point. I do like them both, obviously. But I think if you had to split it up and you had a choice X or Y, I think I would go 10,000 H-bar. Let's just say you had $4,000 left and you've already got XRP, XLM, XDC, got everything else you want, but you're looking at H-bar and algo. And you got $4,000. You have $4,000. I would go probably, and you guys can have your own opinion, I would put 20,000 on XLM. Algo, and I would put 10,000 tokens on H-bar if I was given that. I just think algo is going to go higher than H-bar, and I have no proof of that. I just feel like it's going to go higher. Or you can go 15. I wouldn't go much different than keeping them pretty even. I like them both. I like them both. But I still think if you can get 10,000 tokens, you're cooking. You know, as we go long term. I hustle harder than you. Thank you so much for the 99-cent donation, the super chat. I really appreciate that. I really appreciate that. Selling is inevitable, or you came to the wrong place. Eventually, you must sell. Yes, and I think in this case, if we get the proper move up in wave 4, I think you would have a perfect opportunity to scale out for wave 5 and then get back in with all that additional gain for the 5-wave rally back up. I think it would be an absolutely spectacular thing to take place. So I am excited about being able to express myself in a different way now, because it took me a long time to kind of figure out a unified approach to this community, especially when it comes to portfolios, because this is the time we've been waiting for. We've been waiting for this, and I feel so good right now. Not because we're making a ton of them all. I mean, on XRP today alone, if you had 10,000 tokens when we bought at 34 cents, or anywhere, if you just have 10,000 or whatever you have. But from where we had a, so it was at about $1.88, 89 when I woke up. So that's a $1,300 day right now in XRP alone. Some people always think I'm lying when I talk like that, but it's the truth. It really is. And some people are like, Tom, are we actually going to go up because you've been wearing your hat every day? I said, don't draw any conclusions, but you know what it means when I wear my hat. I'm pretty freaking confident day by day. And the one day I wore my hat and I said, listen, guys, I'm wearing my hat to show you this, but we're going to drop right now first, and then you got to buy on the drop. We talked about this a couple days ago. It's such a spectacular conversation we had. Like, I really feel like this community is getting smarter. We're getting wiser. We're just becoming so much more together. It's scary how together we're becoming. Scary. When you guys agree, like, it's scary how together we are now. Oh, I love it. I love it. Most communities are probably falling apart because they, you know, it's a stressful time. I'll tell you right now, if you can't read a chart, you are bashing your head through the wall. Because every single time you think you're making the right move, by God, it's the wrong move. And every time you think you're making the right move, like I just said, it's the wrong move. And it's a never-ending snowball effect where you're sitting there going, you know what? I'm done with this market. And I know, I've seen it too many times, and it makes me so uncomfortable because oftentimes we need to see that. And I hate to say this, but we need to see it. We need to see that kind of conversation. We need to see that kind of detriment. We need to see that kind of, oh my God, it's just over from certain segments of the populace to know that, hey, we're actually doing the right thing. And I hate saying it, but it's true. It's just true. So, it's just our job to figure this out. And I think we are. I think we're doing a great job. But don't you, Julie? I think we do a great job here. Yeah. I just think as a whole we do a great job. The community, I mean.
As people?
Yes, as a people, the community does a great job. And I think we continue to do it better and better as we start to figure this out more and more. I really do. I really believe this. And I don't think it's by accident that we've stayed out ahead of this market. I think it's because we have phenomenal people that understand, not just me. We have so many people that are so awesome that know what they're talking about. So, let's see. I was trying to read this on here. XRP, $20 end of the year. Let's not go crazy here, folks. You know, I'm in a good mood. Don't sour my mood with false expectations here. No, what we want to do this year, we don't need that. We don't need that. All we need right now is to expand out, and we could end up at 549, 639. Or if this properly does and we build a 5-wave up, we could technically run out near $10. I would be very happy this year if we made a run out to $10. I really would. Because then what does that have in store for the rest of what we hold? That's what everybody should ask. Well, what does it really mean if we actually do that? Well, it means a lot.
Hey, Daddy working. Someone's just cleaning up your room, sir. Come
Hey,
on,
buddy.
Mama.
You're okay, bud.
You come on, Mama, clean your room. Are you gonna sit nice?
Hi, buddy.
You sit nice?
If he really wants me to, I can move.
Oh, he wants to sit.
You want to come sit with Daddy? Come here.
You want to help Daddy teach XRP?
Yeah, you want to say hi to everybody? Look. There you are, look. Say hi, everybody. Yeah, that's you. Yeah? I can walk into the room door. He wants some space. Hold on, everybody. I'm gonna get, I don't know, 35 minutes?
Watch out, watch your fingers.
Hold on, everybody. I apologize. Just 1 second.
Detour.
You're fine, TT. You deserve the living room, too. I'll take the water, Julie.
You say,
Oh. Yeah, come here. Come on, bud. I love you, buddy. Yeah. Watch out, Ghost. Okay. You know, you do what you gotta do, right? So now I'm in the, let's see, I'm in the corner of my room now, but hey, as long as we have a space and I can talk, it's good. Now I gotta open the stuff back up so I can see comments, but that's okay. We do what we have to do around here. But for anybody who doesn't know, my son, he's nonverbal. He's autistic, and he's had some pretty serious injuries and issues that he's dealt with his whole life. So, you know, we got to give him some grace. Got to give him some grace. Okay, so I apologize. My focus is still here, I promise. Oh yeah, please don't talk about Jake Claver in here, honestly. He's I don't talk about it, but if you want to know the truth about him, just go look at the litigation from a couple years ago where he admitted that he was scamming people. So please. Yeah. I don't want to talk about that guy. He's a horrible person for this space. And he literally stole from this community. Not mine personally, but he stole from the XRP community. So, and this is fact. You can go look at it. I don't like to talk about people that should not be talked about, period. So yeah, go look at all the stuff and you'll be able to see why I don't like him. But I don't like to talk about people, so that's it. So anyhow, $20 is possible. I mean, anything's possible. Would I be upset? Heck no, I'd be the happiest person in the world. Believe me. Oh, believe it. Let's see. But I think there's between $5 and $10, I think is a pretty sure bet this year. I really do. I'm not going outside of what I've talked about. I really think that is not a bad idea. Not a bad. Oh, look, you can actually see my hat a little bit better like this. But XRP up over $2.03. We've got Algo almost at 13 cents. We've got HBAR at 12.2 cents almost now. XLM's up to, we talked about it at the start, 2.65% right now. XDC is about 0.25%. I expect that to start having a little bit of movement here as well. Let's see. Tom, realistic number, anything higher is a blessing. I agree, because I could see $10 if we end up having a brand new wave count up after this one finishes, but I've always been under the impression that XRP this cycle, and we're still within this cycle, We just haven't finished the cycle yet, which is why we haven't hit the top numbers, because we have to go through our period of consolidation. You don't just have people for 5-6 years that have been stuck in an asset. In crypto, I consider this an asset in crypto because it actually has utility. It's not a real asset, but it is an asset in a way. But these were my predictions coming. $5.49 to $6.38. It's never changed, nor is the patterns. We broke outside of a descending consolidation that we watched for years. That's how we knew our entry point after the top. Once we seen that $1.96, we said, "Oh my God, this is cake." We just gotta be patient. You don't want to buy the cake before it's the right time. Oh, my hat died. I guess I'm gonna have to charge it. I'm like, what happened? My hat died. That's okay. Hat died. Well, that's a shame. That's a shame indeed. That's still a nice hat. A nice hat. I can just wear it. Let's see. Can't believe it died. What a shame. I gotta charge it. Mr. Tom, you get XPR. I did not. It is not on KRAKEN. So, like I said, you guys can ask me a lot of different tokens, and I want a lot of different tokens, but I have the tokens I have. I'm proud of the tokens I have. They're the tokens I want. And no matter what happens going forward, I'm never going to be disappointed. But I'm going to be blessed, honored, and privileged if I see everybody else in tokens I'm not in make a lot of money in them as well. Because that means we're doing something right. Let's see if we break out of this little channel. This is really going to be our noise right now. If we can get out of this right here. That's what pushes us up. See, it really does have a big, big potential here to go up to 260-ish range. Shane says XRP, XLM, XDC, HBAR, and Quant. Let's go. Makes me feel pretty good about my... Absolutely. The only difference that me and you have is that I like Algo. And I do like Quant, but I like where Algo is at this price. So, you know, I did my due diligence, and we'll see what happens, you know, in a while. None of this micro movement's going to matter, but I'll tell you what, it sure makes for some excitement. Sure makes for some excitement. Yeah, Ondos definitely could be a play for someone. Sue could be a play for someone. There's a lot of things. SHX Stronghold. There's so many different things I could mention. Shiba's a good play. Mike Osmos is happy to see that we are all here together on this fine, lovely, glorious evening. Ladies and gents, welcome in, Mike. So blessed to have you in here. Yeah, I'm just got to do this from the old corridors right now, so it's a little different. My son kicked me out of the living room, so it's technically his house anyhow, so, you know. One day it'll go to him, and whoever his caregiver is. Let's see. Man, I really like, and I know at some point we're going to get this nice consolidation, but man, I like this right now heading into a thinly traded weekend. I really do. I know that we can get a nice consolidation this weekend too and kind of keep it even keel. But XRP in the futures actually closed near $2. The futures was just under, which is ironic. On the dailies, on the actual charts, they actually closed over $2 in the spot market. You know, but we close, I believe it's an hour later in the spot market than the futures market when that candle flipped. So I think it was 6 p.m. when it closed in the futures. You didn't get a notification, CJ2 Pilot, and thank you. And it's all an illusion for me in town for over 1 year. I told you so bad. I'm sorry that I can't get to everybody today with the comments. I just went off on a beautiful start. When we started the live, we were able to talk, and kind of got away from me. And now that my son's, you know, wandering around, I'm going to do the best I can here. But, you know, soon I'm going to go talk to him and hang out because he really wanted to play. So, and I can hear him walking by the door right now, which is funny. He's like, "Where's Dad?" Total crypto market cap pushed over. It pushed up instead of back tossing, which is what we really wanted. We did show this just in case because we could see if it broke down. But we really wanted to see the head shoulder play out, which is starting to right now. And keep it from going down and back testing, because we actually did exactly what we need to do here. Like, we could not have done this any better. I even drew that blue line going down, because that's either the support resistance side of it as we've been going up and down. And we actually back tested this for a move back up if this plays out. And you can see the obvious issue here is if we go back up, we're going to retest around the 3.65 trillion on the total crypto market cap, which is the combination of all the cryptocurrency combined. You'll notice that there's a total of 3, which is everything but Bitcoin and Ethereum. And then you'll notice there's an others, which actually did better than the total and the total 3 in the last candle. And that's everything outside the top 10 cryptocurrency. So just remember that. So if you're trying to watch to see how it's running, if you're trying to get a bigger impact besides like the major tokens, get outside the total and the total 3 and get into the others. And then you'll see the ones that don't have as much exposure. Nick, welcome in. What's going on, my brother? Coinbase just had XRP at 204. Yeah, it was just up to 203 something. I mean, it's great to see it over $2. I can't think of a single person that's going to be mad about seeing XRP. Well, I guess anybody who bought it over $3 or didn't buy it in the previous bear market would be mad. But everything works its way. Like, imagine that we're going through this and we've had a substantial bear market for XRP for the last like 10, 11 months. And it's over $2. Explain that to somebody who says XRP sucks and it never moves. That we can be in a bear market now and it's at $2. Think about that. Wait a minute. What locked up $450 a year ZCN, trying to get the last of it. Which one? WEX? Is that supposed to be WEX? WEEX? I want to see. What's going on, Nick? I really want to know. Yeah, CJ2 Pilot, thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 2 years with the XP589 Moonbedge. I encourage you to go back to the beginning. It was a very truthful, in a good way. No bad stuff, all good stuff in 26. God, I warned about this too at the WEX a few months ago. It's all an illusion. If that's the case, and I really thought about it when you said it earlier, and I looked back, you're not wrong. That's why it might feel off that maybe we never did have a... It's so strange to think like that, but if that's the case... and thank you for being in Tom's Army for over a year with the I Told You So Bad. You made a valid point in the last live, and I was stuck on it for a minute because I really thought about it. And if that's the case, it would make sense why we're so extremely oversold in the weekly and monthly right now, wouldn't it? Because we have the most expansive wave to go up still. So it's pretty interesting. And then if that's the case, would that invalidate another movement down? And maybe we just get an ABC correction off of a big spike up here. And if that's the case, oh my God. Because you can invalidate the micro Elliott wave for a macro one. It's going to take some work. But if that's the case, I mean, Lord have mercy. We could be seeing $5-6 in the nearer future, if that's the case. VeChain is listed on Kraken. Are you serious? Oh, that would be so sweet. And I can get it off of crypto.com. Yes. One of my few holdovers that I have to keep on there. Yes, you're telling the truth. It is. Oh, it's a glorious day. It's a glorious day. How much volume do they have? Let's see what they would charge. It just got listed, too, it looks like. This could be a problem, though. Let's see how much they want. No, it's at perfect pricing, though. The asking price. Wow, I'm shocked. I'm stunned. I'm stunned that the asking price is that good on Kraken. Well, that's a game changer. That's a game changer for some. That's the best news I've heard. It's about time they had VeChain. Good job, Kraken. Seriously, good job by adding that. That is spectacular. And at the price it's at, when they're at that price, you know, I always like to look at it. It's at 1.184. Get 100,000 tokens if you can afford 1,100 bucks. At 1.185, get 100,000 tokens. You'll thank me later. And I looked at XLM. I said 60. I had 50,000 tokens. I don't know why I said 60. But you'll thank me later for that. Yeah, I told you the non-tier 1 exchanges, it's over. That's why I tried to get everybody out of the no KYC for, you know, the better half of the year last year, because I started to read the regulations and I'm like, oh man, they're just going to steal our stuff. Yeah, it's crazy, all this crap. Nick, I had 50,000 IOTA on there, hit it all off. Then went to get ZBC on off. We accidentally unlocked it locked it into me. I had to email support waiting on a response. Such a shitty shame. And that's where I had all my IOTA, remember? And then I made just the logical conclusion, said I love IOTA, but now I'm just gonna go deeper into XDC and XLM and then have my H bar. And it didn't feel right, because when I went to verify, because it said it was available in the USA. This was like 4 months ago, 3 months ago now, maybe a little bit less. But I went to verify on there, and all of a sudden it said, you can't verify, this is a restricted area. And that was against everything it said even when you would message them, what you would read. And it turns out we are actually restricted here because it's not allowed to be used here, because they allow leverage. Any exchange that technically allows the futures where you can go 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, it's not allowed in the USA. They don't allow that kind of trading. That's because they're getting rid of the loopholes and they're not going to allow any of that kind of stuff. It's a shame. It's going to hurt a lot of people. I can promise you that. It's going to hurt a lot of people. Remember, it's supposed to be a unregulated market is what we were told when it started, remember? You guys don't have to worry. It's an unregulated market, remember? Unregulated, all right. Feels pretty regulated to me, if I may say so myself. And it's, oh no, you're fine, Nick. I would rather you, it shows a few grammatical errors and you drive safe. Just drive safe, my friend. You can always watch this back, but your life is very precious, my friend. That's all I will say. You're very precious to not just me, but to this community and your family. So be safe, Nick. Please be safe. Crypto Plumber 420, thank you so much for being in town 6+ months with the XP Predictor. I really, really appreciate it. I haven't looked at ZBC on in a while. I know it was rounding a bottom in a very big way. But yeah. Okay, so KRAKEN and a few other ones are, I don't know how Coinbase works, but like on KRAKEN, you can trade technically, but it's more of a margin trade, or you can, you basically have to take margin out on the exchange now. So like when you do it from a, let me go on here to explain this. So if I went to trade, and let's just say I go trade, search, I can technically go to like HBAR and do a 3x, but that's through margin trading. It's the futures with that, but you can do margin. There's like futures, but I mean, you got to trade stuff that no one's going to understand. Like you got the mini Dow and the micro gold and stuff like that, the mini Russell. You've got, it's stupid. It's really stupid. I haven't even verified that side of this account. But it's really dumb how it does it, if I'm being honest. Like, it's not even part of my interest. Like, they can keep it. Honestly, they can keep that. And like, there's other things I really like. Like, I love Linea. But, you know, it kind of throws me off that every single month they're going to have like a 2 billion. Like, this month it's almost 1.2 billion token release on the 10th. And unlike XRP, I don't know what they're trying to drive the price to. At least with XRP, I know the fundamentals behind it, so I can at least kind of figure out what's going on in real time. But I don't know with Linea because they haven't really told us anything. But man, that is big news with VeChain. Tom, you gave an XRP prediction. Oh, I never did give an XLM prediction. So yeah. I mean, going forward, if you're talking about how XRP in time gets up to let's just say the $5.39 area. So it's tricky with XLM because it's never broke outside of here, but it is building, in my opinion, an all-time cup, and now it's building the handle. I believe it's trying to anyhow. We have to break out of this. So basically, this is how XRP was during its 7-year consolidation. XLM's still in it. It's still in it, which means in theory, right now it's got to get up to like 54 cents. So buying it where you're buying it right now is dirt cheap. But if it gets above there, the technical target for this cycle, somewhere between $1.09 and $1.49, in my humble opinion. Some people are like, this scumbag, $1.09 after all this time. It's not the end result, but it's the result of this consolidation we're going through right now. What, you're going to tell me if you bought it at 20 cents, 18 cents, 25, 30 cents, you're going to be pissed if it gets to $1.09 or $1.49? If you are, that's where your problem is trading. You're trying to make too much. You know, you're trying to make too much. And now, I'm not saying that's the end result in all time, because it's not. $1.77 is actually the far out target. But in the short term, you got to get past 109 and 149 to hit that $1.77. But I don't think it's going to be, that's not the end result. I would call the crypto space bitch slapped into centralization. Unfortunately, you are correct, and that's probably the best explanation I've heard in a long time about it. We definitely got bitch slapped into it. Yeah, XLM could double their all-time high. Remember where the last all-time high was? About 94 cents. That's right around the $1.77. So I think we're in a pretty good spot where we're thinking $1.77 gives it almost a double up from its last all-time high. And then think about it. If it could do that and back test off of $1.49 or $1.09, could you imagine where we'd go next? I talked about to start this live, it was probably one of the better plays as the live started. It's still trying. The reason why it could get volatile if it breaks out here, just so you guys know. It's in a falling wedge that it's trying to break out of, and it's getting into a nice area of demand. Very nice area. Everyone tries to make too much because excess is the... you're right. You're right, but if we stay within ourselves, remember, if you start with 3,000 and then the next time you have 10,000, well, now the next time, if you made 3x the last time, instead of having 9, now you got 27, and so on and so forth, and you start to follow the path, and before you know it, we become 1 or 2, like if this one, if we end up 3xing, 4xing, 5xing from here, it's not going to be like the last time, because this would be the big move. And then it would be even bigger next time, and even bigger the time after. But you have to understand, the more money, you got to train yourself, because it's going to look like bigger gains or bigger losses than you're used to with the same percentage move. And that was the hardest thing for me. Before, when I would lose $300, I'm like, $300? Oh my God, that's 10% of what I already invested. Now if you lose $300, you're like, I got to keep it in perspective here, you know? So, and it's hard sometimes, it really is. But if we keep the same philosophy, we can slaughter this market. We can slaughter it. With all of us together, there's nobody who can read charts better than all of us. I guarantee it. Between all of us in this community, within the Telegram, within who comes here every single day, there is nobody who can read a chart better than us, or understands the news better. There's nobody who understands that the news is predicted by the charts. There's nobody understands the tokenomics better. Nobody understands the utility. Nobody understands the framework. Nobody understands the fact that the regulations are a bad thing more than we do. So we can absolutely, positively slay this market. And you don't even have to own the tokens we own it. You just have to understand the cycle. But I honestly believe, though, if XRP were to get to $10, I think XLM, based on my own rule, would be somewhere around $253. I believe it's supposed to be 40. Well, it's supposed to be 4-to-1. So it's supposed to be like 4-to-1 or something. But I believe that we are special in a good way. But I think we need to do it unified like we are. But I think in 2026, you're going to notice a much different me. I think you've already noticed it. And we're only day 2, but I put this into place to end the year. This is, I think this is going to be something crazy. By the time we get to 2026 at the end and we're like, okay, guys, I know we thought we were doing great, but look what just happened here. We understood that we're in an election cycle this year. We understand what quantitative easing means. We understand what it means when they're lowering rates. We understand when they don't trust the banks, and we got to do something just slightly different. There's just so much stuff for us. That's exactly what I was saying, Crypto Plumber, as this live, the last 2 lives now, I tried to explain it the way you're talking. If you look at XLM at $22 an ounce and like silver and gold at $2,000 an ounce, you can see the 90-something to 1 ratio, which makes XLM a better buy right now. It is what it is. So if you were coming into the market, and by no means am I saying you don't want to hold your XRP, you know, that's what started all of this. This whole thing started because of XRP, and you can't give up on it now. Like for years, we were talking about 30, 40, 50, 70, 60, 40 cents. Get excited when it gets to 80 cents. Yep, XDC is absolutely copper, if you want to put it in that equation. But the ratio is too close, though. It might be a little too close, so it's harder to look at it as copper. Because you're talking about copper by the pound, as we were talking about gold and silver by the ounce. I would almost say, in some weird way, it could be a sneaky, very sneaky, and it'll never surpass gold. But maybe in some weird way, you could almost say, I don't want to say like a platinum, but it's something that's outside of the norm, but is very valuable, but most people would kind of overlook it. And maybe it's like oil or something. I don't know. Oh, look at that. Crypto Plumber said oil too. I was thinking palladium at first as well. But yeah, it's something in there. It really is. It's something. But this whole thing, everybody just thought when people were comparing like XRP's gold, XLM silver, they're just actually thinking that people are saying it's actual gold and silver. No, you have to look at it with the ratio. And that's why I get so excited right now when I look at, I get super excited. Look at this. Oh, I get so super excited about this. Look in the weekly where XLM is versus XRP. Like, come on. Come on now, eh? And then in the monthly, oh, Lord have mercy, are we excited. You're never going to hear more excitement about my direction except this year. This year, you're going to hear the true tone. There's no more pessimism. Even when it's going down, it's, we love these tokens. This is our plan. And we're sticking to it. And it's done us very well the last several years. And damn it, we're going to kick the crap out of this market when so many people are struggling, when so many people don't know what's up and down. We're going to keep it unified. Like, we really are. And there's going to be a lot of struggle. I guarantee it. We've already struggled a lot, right? But we've been trained. We've been trained very well. I'm going to go hang out with my son. I know he wants to hang out with me. I'm very blessed to have all of you. Please consider joining Tom's Army. To pay it forward. You know, time. A lot of time is spent doing this. I don't charge for... I don't do any advertising or anything like that for a reason. There will be classes soon, and I'm so excited about them. And that'll be something you'll be able to see on YouTube, but it's going to be in a different section. Because I was going to do it on Zoom, but I'm just going to make another tier to Tom's Army. And then it's up to you if you want to do live classes or not. There's no obligation. It doesn't change what you get for the lower perks. You still get the Telegram. Everything is still free, just the way I do it now. except we're going to go a little bit deeper into market cycles, market strategy, market understanding, not just crypto, all around finance, investing, understanding mutual funds, understanding how to do a basic chart, understanding just how to open up a chart, knowing what to download, knowing what to know. You're going to know exactly what tools to use. We won't go into the tax stuff because I'm not a tax professional, nor are we going to discuss it in the classes because that's not part of my expertise. And everybody's tax laws are different across different countries, so we're not going to get into that. But every single thing you need to do to trade not just this market, but every market, to understand the technicals, to understand every single thing you need to know about trading from the ground up before you ever open up the it's like when you play sports. Before you ever make a basket, you got to learn how to dribble the ball. Before you learn how to dribble the ball, you have to know what the rules are. Before you know the rules, you have to know even what sports, so it all starts. So before you trade, you got to do this and that. So, but I really do. I agree with Defined. And thanks for being a very trusted mod in here and in the Telegram, Defined. And in Tom's Army for over 6 months with the XRP Predictor. And Mrs. Stott, I see you in here. Mr. Stott, if you're in here too, thank you so much for being in Tom's Army 3+ months with the XRP Meter along with Maple Man. But Defined said you are doing yourself a huge disservice not being in the Army. I so much agree with that. I so agree with that. But I do think we're going to have a lot of blessings come this year. So we have to stay on the right path. When you look at Stellar versus XRP, what do you see? A big double bottom there. Huge double bottom. Just a huge double bottom. We're just getting ready to cook soon. XDC versus XRP. Little shaky. So slightly different. XDC in its own right, though, is looking pretty good. If it ends up being some kind of rising wedge it falls out of, we'll worry about that if it does. So, best YouTube live, like them up. Oh, I appreciate that. I thank you for that, everybody. Have a blessed evening.